So I'd like to spend some time in this video and discuss primitive types. And so we have a variety of primitive types that we can use within Java. And some of these primitive types, so actually there's only 8 of them, are byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, and Boolean. Now, each one of them is used to define what values you can place into it. So for example, a byte can be of the value minus 128 to 127. So if I wanted to, in my code, to define a byte, I could define that as type byte space name, give it any name I want. Here I call it B1 equals, and I give it a value. Now the value, let's say I wanted to give this a value of 128. What happens is the editor comes back with a little red mark and says, you can't convert from an int to a byte. So what it's telling me is 128 is no longer a byte. 128 would be within the int value or short value. So it's coming back saying you can't convert that. So you can't even define something outside of the range that it can be. Further on, if I had a short, an int, notice the values, notice the ranges. So an int can be up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 positions, but it can only have this maximum value. So if you had a 10 position, let's say a household number, that was assigned by the government, but that value could range, where the first digit could be a 0 through a 9, and int would not work. There you'd have to use a long. So in this case here, I could use an int and give it a value of 129. I could say I have a long, L equals, in our case, it was 10 positions long. Now normally what we like to do in these, when we declare these things, we put an L after a long, okay? And then usually after a double you would put a D, and after a float you would put an F. Usually it's a good practice to do that. So in our code, I can declare each and any one of those. Booleans, we said, were either true or false, and characters, C-H-A-R, is just one character, and that is, again, is in apostrophes, not in quotes. If I try to put that in quotes, it's going to come back with an error saying, I'm sorry, you have a type mismatch. You're trying to use a string. Because remember, we put strings within quotes. So character, apostrophes, quotes are used for strings. Thank you.